white because of the knot that I have on it. We're gonna be putting this up like this, okay? So I am not gonna worry about I'm only gonna paint 3 sides to it. And you guys will see why here, because we're actually gonna be putting it on this when we're done. So you don't need to paint the bottom side. Just try to get a really decent coat for your first coat, and then we'll go back and do a second coat. Okay, so you see me trying to do the edges here, and then we'll go back through and do full strokes of our paint. This is moving around on my table a lot. Always go in line with the grain of the wood. And I'm gonna show you what that means here in just a second. I'm gonna show you on this other piece of wood. Let's go ahead and do the edges here. I'm not gonna paint the back. If you wanna paint the back, you can. It's definitely a personal preference. And if you are a creator and you want to sell something, I do recommend painting the back. It just creates more of a finished piece with it. And I need a little bit more white paint. We're gonna put it on here. So when you're painting and you're painting on the ends, one of your ends is gonna soak up a lot of paint. And that's the end that I usually cut the wood. Okay, so you have all of the points of your wood that are bare there. And so that's gonna take a little bit more paint. See, as you can tell right here, you can see that little knot. Okay, that's the knot I was talking about. We're not gonna paint this. I'm gonna keep this and paint it a different color. But we are gonna paint this now. And then this will be dry enough for us to paint when we're done. I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the twine, maybe. It's really hard, I don't know that it's gonna pull off. Because I'm not gonna hang it, so I'm not super worried about it. All right, we're gonna use our white and we're gonna paint all of the inside. If you wanted to paint the inside black, you could, because our sunflower is actually going to be the yellow and the orange color. So we're gonna do all we can to get in the corners here. That's gonna be the hardest part when you paint this inside, is getting in all of those grooves. And I'm gonna be honest, a foam brush is not always the easiest. So if you have regular paint brushes, it's gonna create a smoother look when you are painting. Because sometimes foam brushes just aren't very good. All right. Dig your foam brush way down in there, and that's gonna help get all of the corners. It looks really streaky, but I'm not super worried about that because our sunflower is actually gonna cover the majority of that up. So now I'm just gonna paint the edges and the top, the sides. This wood is really gonna soak up your paint, and so you're gonna probably do 2 coats on this piece. This is actually called balsa wood, B-A-L-S-A. And the wood that I cut is pine. And so they're two of the softer woods, and they're the most common woods that you can create with, but they just soak up paint really quite a bit sometimes. Let's get some more white paint here. And there is a bare spot. There we go. I'm gonna try not to get paint on me this evening, but you know, That never works out. One more edge, and then we can probably, I'm gonna dry this piece up a little bit before I paint some more. Let's do one more round on the front here. All right, just get with like-minded people, no matter where you are. So we all have friends for different seasons, and not even different seasons. Okay, hold on 1 second before I go on with that. We are painting the first sunflower orange, and I'm just getting down in the edges here real quick with the tip of my brush. And then we're gonna paint the second one yellow, and then I'll show you how to do the rest. So we all have different friends for different things in our life. Like I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of friends. I just don't. I mean, I have friends that I've made friends with through baseball because my boys play baseball, and we don't really talk outside of baseball. And then you have business friends, which is what this weekend was all about. And then you may have those friends which you went to high school with, and you may still have them, which I don't really. I mean, obviously Facebook has led us back together, but we still, life takes such different turns and twists that I don't know. I think it's a blessing if you are still friends with or hang out with ladies that you went to high school with. I don't. I mean, we have gone to dinner, but we don't hang out on a daily basis. I mean, life takes you to different directions. And then you may have friends based on your kids' friends. When you're a mom of toddlers and you get together with ladies while your kiddos are playing at the park, that's one thing. But I say that because that is definitely what this weekend was. It was a weekend for me to just get with some other ladies that, you connect with on a different level. They understand what it's like to run a business. They understand, the ins and outs and all the stress that comes along with it. What time is it where you are, Diana? It is late here. I've had a long day. It's 8:30 here, 8:38. You love sunflowers. I'm super excited. All right, we're gonna let this one dry for a little bit, and we're gonna go do the yellow one now. And then we're gonna start using our fancy tool to dress this up. The insides are gonna they're gonna be the hardest to paint, so just take your time. Use the tip of your brush. If you have a little paintbrush, you can use that as well. It might be a little bit easier to get in the crevices. Although, I like the way that the foam brush, I typically throw my foam brushes away after I use them. I don't wash them or anything. And so they can take a beating. I'm gonna shove it down in this corner here, and I'm not worried about if it's gonna tear it up or not, because the styrofoam of the brushes do tend to tear sometimes. And I wish I was the person that washed them, but I'm not. Okay, I think we have all the innards of those painted. All right, so now you can tell that I'm going out from the center of each petal when I do this. And then we're gonna go across and make sure all our brush strokes are the same way. So we're going from the center out like that, and then I'm gonna lightly go like this, okay? And I'm gonna tell you right now that I am a night owl, kinda. I don't stay up till all hours of the night, but I'm not a morning person. 5:30 would just come way too soon for me. There is stuff out all over with sunflowers. Typically July and August are all about sunflowers. And the really fun thing about sunflowers is they go through September. You can use, hi Candace, you can use them through September. Oops, I got orange on it, but that's okay because we're gonna put more orange on it. Especially if you use the colors like this mustard color of the yellow that I sent you versus a bright yellow color, they can definitely go through September if you have sunflowers that you're decorating with. All right. So cute. We're gonna create along the edges here, okay? That's what we're doing. So I'm gonna take my little tool here and just scrape some color all along each of the edges here, just a little bit. I am not covering the edges completely, okay? It's thick. Can you tell that's thick paint? And this is gonna take a little bit to dry, but you're just taking some paint on your, this is how much, I mean, I've got a pretty decent amount on here, and then I'm just scraping it along the edge, okay? So we will do this with the black and the white as well, but for now, we're just gonna do it with the yellow and then let it dry. And then on the yellow one, we're gonna do orange, and you're gonna be able to see the two different ways that it can look, and you can decide which one you want to do. Okay, so there's that one. You can tell these up here are pretty thick. We may scrape that down a little bit. Okay, there you go. So now I'm gonna take my wet wipe. We're gonna wipe this off. And now we're gonna do the same thing with our yellow, but we're gonna do orange. So right now, if you guys were asking, he is actually learning HVAC. He is gonna learn a trade right now until he can go to school. He wants to do something in the meteorology field. So we'll see. Life has a funny way of working out, and I tell him that. I'm like, you know what? I never ever would have imagined, I don't care to tell you guys my age, I'm 45. I never would have imagined at 18 what I would be doing at 45 making money, okay? I went to school, business management, which of course is helping me right now. There's that. But it just, you never know where life's gonna take you. So I am going to bring some of this down in each of the middle of my leaves as well. I think I'm gonna do that on the bottom one too. And like I said, we'll bring some white in here and get it to stand out a little bit more as well. Let's do that with the yellow too. Let's bring some color in that. And this, I'm putting a lot on the bottom, probably too much, probably shouldn't have done that much. And you're gonna be able to see the color. We're gonna do some white around the edges here. Lots of dimension. That's what this technique is gonna give you. None of your pieces are gonna look the same when you do this piece like this. The pressure of our hand is all gonna be different. They are all gonna look completely different. Let's go ahead and do this one with some white while we're doing it. Okay. You know, I'm notorious for leaving my glue guns on, and that's probably the worst thing that you can do. All right, so I'm putting a little bit of glue in the middle of our orange one, and we're gonna layer this. That's all I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna just run all across the top of it and the inside edge. Make sure you get the inside edge as well. You wanna get both edges. Just like that. You can see that I've got the inside edge and you see I got the outside edge. You can do as little or as much on this technique as you want. I tend to go back and do more layers because I just really like the technique. It's my favorite. And you guys, I have some palette knife painting classes coming up that you're gonna want to be a part of. I'm gonna teach you guys how to use palette knives. Yes, so much fun. Your daughter did 5 national park tours in southern Utah. That would be amazing. Utah is beautiful. I went there for a blogging conference. It's probably been 6 years ago, and it's beautiful. Do the sides, make sure you do the back, the bottom, all the things. No matter how you have it setting, you want someone to look, like if you have it in the middle of a table, you want them to see a finished look from all sides. Obviously, if you have it sitting up against a wall, you don't need to paint the back. All right, so I'm not gonna paint the back. I'll go ahead and paint the back. Let's just do it. Not gonna hurt anything, right? All right, there we go. That is that. Dip it in quite a bit and just go out in a circle. It is not gonna be perfect at all. We're just gonna make a circle. It's gonna be thick paint, and it's gonna give it dimension. This is not a perfect circle. Yours isn't gonna be. I mean, I hope yours is, but mine isn't gonna be. So the one thing that you have to remember for sunflowers is that sunflowers have a large center. It's not gonna be a center that is just a tiny little piece. Okay, your sunflower center is gonna be large. We're gonna let this over the edge, okay? You'll be able to see if your petal is going over the edge. You don't want your petal to go over the edge. If you wanna measure and see, make sure this petal is the same width distance from the edge as this one, you can do that. However, I'm just not that much of a perfectionist, and I've done this for a while. All right, so once you're comfortable with where it's sitting, you're gonna push it down. Hi, Andrea. Once you're comfortable with where it is at, you're gonna press it down. All right, next, what is on that? Next, you're gonna wanna take, this is where this little tool will come in handy. You can kind of peel away the corner, and you want your, now you want your masking tape to come up, and you want your blue to stay down, okay? So that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna peel this away. Versus peeling up like this, peel like this. Lay it down, okay? If you pull up like this, it may pull your stencil up, so you wanna lay it down and peel like this. And it is starting to pull my paint. So just make sure your paint's super dry. But it's gonna be covered up anyway. Just peel. And if you have a piece that comes up with it, again, push this back down, rub it a little bit more, and peel. But I just lay this on the board and peel. Don't pull up like this, okay? It did pull my paint up a tad bit. I don't know, I don't think you can tell. I don't think you can tell. You can't really tell that it pulled my paint up very much, but it may pull my paint up when I do this. See? But I have a trick for that, and I will show you what that trick is, okay? So if that happens to you, then you're gonna know the trick. And I'm gonna go just like this. And yes, it is getting on my center where it would be black, but I'm not worried about that because black is going to cover everything. Okay? All right, there we go. See how I did that? And you're just dabbing. No scraping, just dabbing. Now we're going to take the yellow and we're going to do the same thing. And then we're going to blend it together once we have it all on here. Just dab, 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 dab. Okay? If you have too much paint on your brush, it could still tend to bleed a little bit. So make sure when you get paint on your brush that you are then dabbing off. I am going down into my orange a little bit, but obviously it's still not a blended look like I had. So here's what we're gonna do. All right, we're gonna go all the way down. Now we're gonna go into the orange and bring some of it up to the top. We're just gonna take what paint we have on here right now and just blend it in, okay? Let's do a little bit more yellow. Again, I'm not worried about where my black is gonna be because the black is going to be covered. Or we're gonna be able to cover all of this color in here when we do the black. See? It just dab, dab, dab. And it's still a little bit too orange for me, so I'm just gonna dab a little bit more red. Or, I'm sorry, red? Where the heck did I get the red from? Now, I want the tips of my sunflowers to be a little bit lighter. And so now I'm going to add some white. Tiny bit of white, okay? Tiny bit of white. And we're gonna just dab up at the top. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit of white. A little bit goes a long way. Still need more. Didn't use enough. You're just taking a little bit of paint and dabbing. Always just dabbing up and down. If you do any scraping, you are not gonna like the look of it, I'm promising you. You gotta work in small sections when you're doing this because if you don't, your paint can tend to dry before you want it to, but it has to be wet for you to blend it. Just dabbing everywhere now, just with all the colors that are mixed on my brush. And it just creates a blended look. Let's do a little bit more there. That edge. Add color wherever you want. Let it just blend together. I just added a little bit more orange. This one's gonna be a little bit more orange. Okay. Can you see how it's blending? I'm not really comfortable with this little section here. Not sure why. It's not wanting to blend, and it may be because I let the paint dry too much in the orange before I did anything. There we go, that's a little bit better. All right, now when we do the black, this is where you're gonna have to be careful. We're gonna take our black and we're gonna paint all in here But again, when you get to the edge, you want to just be very careful and not go over that line. Because I don't care that the color bled to where my black did, because black will obviously cover anything. If you have a makeup sponge, that would work really good here. Let's do this spot right here. And I got a little bit of black on my petal, but we're just gonna call it good. We are gonna call it good. All right, now we're gonna dry this up. If you want, next we're gonna peel all this off. And it is being funky, wanting to peel my paint because it wasn't quite dry. So I'm gonna show you a trick. For those of you that think that you may struggle, see how it peeled the paint? That's what I'm telling you, when it's not dry, it's gonna peel the paint. We're gonna sand it and make it look distressed. If you are nervous about stenciling of your flower, rub it down and it will stay and it will be like magic. Voila. Okay? In a world full of roses, be a sunflower. You like the distressed? Good. So this one I did sideways. I did this one sideways. However you want to do it is how you're going to just lay it on your little piece down here. So let's go ahead and distress the edges. Well, let's distress the edges first. Or put dimension on our edges like we do on all of our stuff, because we love it. Or you may not. You don't have to do this, you guys. If you don't love this technique, you do not have to do this. I do. Doesn't mean that you are going to. So you just take it and you rub it along. And if you don't like it, you rub more, or you can wipe it off with a baby wipe and add more. White, and I'm gonna go along the edge, inside, outside edge of my black. So on the inside, but towards the outside, if that makes sense. See? All right, now we're gonna glue this on, and it's gonna be glued on down at the bottom like this. We'll make that the front. And hold on, we need some black in there. There's too much white. Hold on. There we go. That's better. Okay, this is the bottom. So we're gonna put some hot glue on the bottom and we're gonna hot glue it to our piece here. Oh, Roxanne, I have lots of pictures of all the finished pieces. They're so much fun. I think I need another glue gun. So we're just gonna put this right in the middle and hold it down. And then we're gonna distress the edges. Ooh, that would be very pretty, Amy. That would be super pretty. All right, It's not going anywhere now. So this is what it looks like to the side. Oh, we're not done. We're not done. Hold on, we're not done. We also still have to put a bow on our piece. But we're gonna distress the edges of our black down here. Just like we do. And then, since this front piece is showing, I still like to go down the edge here and across the bottom, because you are going to be able to see it. It's just going to give some more character to it. And you guys, I'm using white here, but you could use the brown or the yellow or the orange, okay? White. I am not doing very much at all. Honestly, it just looks like polka dots, kind of. There you go. That's all I'm doing. Now we're going to hot glue this in here. I'm gonna put a bunch of hot glue. I use high temp. If you guys have followed me, you know I love high temp glue. Glue that right down in the middle. Hold it there for just a second. Because high temp glue definitely takes a little bit longer to set. All right, now what we're gonna do, we're gonna create our bow. Super simple bow. Super, super simple bow. You have your buffalo check. You're gonna fold it in half like this. And then you're gonna fold it in half again, this way. And then fold this up this way. Okay? I'll do it again for you. You have this, you fold it in half. And then you fold each side up back to the front. And we'll turn it around. You fold this side back up to the front like that. Okay? I do keep my edges straight when I do my bows like this, because if you angle them, it looks kind of funny. But now you have the two openings here. You have one on the top here and one on the bottom. We're gonna put some glue there, and then we're gonna put some glue here in the middle, because you have a middle opening right here, okay? So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do our middle one. Ooh. Be careful. This ribbon, it seeps through. So be careful. You do not want to burn your fingers like I just did. Okay? And then I'm just pressing them all together, just like that, until they all get adhered together. And that's that, you guys. That's a bow. If you wanted to put some twine on it, you could. I didn't send you guys twine, but you could definitely put some twine on it. But I think I'm gonna cut it a little bit smaller. I'm just gonna follow one of the lines on my buffalo check, because that's gonna create the best edge. So there we go. And then we're just gonna glue this at you can glue it at the very top, you can glue it at an angle. And honestly, just how you glue it, however, and this is an, excuse me, this is an angled frame, and so you can angle it any way you want. But I'm gonna put it in one of the corners, but you could put it on one of the flat pieces if you wanted as well. I still think the bow is a little bit big. You can tell the difference. There you go. It's a little bit big. I think I'm gonna trim it just a tad bit more. Just follow the edge of, follow one of the lines in order to cut it. That way you have the right, the edge looks good. Otherwise it's gonna look funky. Because I'm telling you, bows like this, you don't want angled edges on your bow. There we go. I think that's better. There we go.